with a large amount of money in your face, your feelings do change. And I try not to be a materialistic person, but I do owe it to my family as well to set them up for success as best I can.
There's going to be problems all the time, but problems are soluble if you have knowledge and the right way to attack those problems. So that's just kind of how I'm looking at this. It's a problem that I need to fix, and I'm on this journey to try to fix those problems.
Of course, I think we've all been in positions where we've been busy or we've had to take a phone call or whatever, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do that, or I can't, I mean, you can't please everyone, it's hard.
He was pathetic. That is the only way to describe it. The world's #1 golfer, Scottie Scheffler, the guy everyone says is basically unbeatable, got torn apart by 6 golf legends. And I'm not talking about normal losses. I'm talking about humiliations. I'm talking about moments where the camera cut to Viktor Hovland talking while Scheffler was out there playing helplessly. These are the stories that broke the myth of invincibility. Scheffler is still amazing. His ball striking is historic. But these 6 legends showed the world something that shocks everyone. They showed that the machine can break. Now, if you are enjoying this breakdown and the way we are telling these stories, hit the hype feature and give this video some hype. It really helps this channel reach more golf fans who love this kind of deep analysis. Okay, so let me walk you through all 6. 6 different ways, 6 different legends who stepped up and demolished the guy at the top. This is not about luck. This is not about random golf moments. These men found the blueprint. They discovered exactly how to break Scottie Scheffler. And once you see the pattern, you will never watch him the same way again. Let's start with understanding the monster we are talking about. Scottie Scheffler from 2022 through 2025 was not a normal golfer. His ability to hit fairways and greens was absolutely historic. Ball striking like that is supposed to win everything. The best players stay calm, they trust the system, they dominate week after week without breaking. But Scheffler is different. When you hit the ball as perfectly as he does, people expect you to win. Always. Every single time. So when he fails, it is not just a loss. It is a collapse. It is a breakdown. It is a humiliation. The statistical dominance he maintained was unlike anything since Tiger Woods himself. But unlike Woods, Scheffler showed visible vulnerability. The 6 legends you are about to hear about did not just beat him. They exposed something deeper. They exposed that all that mechanical perfection was built on a foundation that could crack under pressure. The invincibility was a myth, pure myth. #1 is Brooks Koepka at the 2023 PGA Championship. This was major championship toughness on full display right there. Scheffler came to Oak Hill with the best swing in golf. His ball striking was flawless all week. On Sunday, he shot a final round 65. 65 is a brilliant score. That is the kind of score that wins tournaments. But in this moment, in this context, it was too little too late. Brooks Koepka was a different animal. He came to this championship on a redemption mission. He had just lost to Jon Rahm at the Masters. He was hungry. He was angry. He was ready to remind the golf world what major championship golf looked like. Koepka did not just play well. He out-toughed Scheffler completely. He refused to blink under any circumstance. When Scheffler made his charge on the back 9, when everyone in the booth started talking about the world #1 making a comeback, Koepka kept saving pars. Koepka kept hitting putts. He never let Scheffler get close enough to matter. Not until the tournament was already done. Not until everyone knew the outcome was finished. That is the ultimate insult. That is not just winning. That is controlling your opponent so completely that he never even got a real chance. Koepka forced Scheffler into second place, forced him to settle. In the crucible of a major championship Sunday, Koepka had the closing instinct that Scheffler needed but could not find. Koepka proved something that day. While Scheffler might be #1 on a spreadsheet, when the Wanamaker Trophy is on the line, Koepka is the man to beat. Scheffler was left shaking his head. He hit the ball better than anyone all week. He scored the second best final round in the field, and he still lost by a mile. His ball striking was irrelevant. His statistics meant nothing. Koepka's toughness stripped away everything Scheffler relied on. It was a referendum on what golf actually is at the highest level, and Scheffler failed the test completely. #2 is the Bethpage Black disaster. Justin Rose and Tommy Fleetwood against Scottie Scheffler and Bryson DeChambeau. This was the 2025 Ryder Cup at Bethpage Black, and it was the lowest point of Scheffler's team golf career. Hostile crowds, New York energy, noise everywhere. These conditions are supposed to rattle everyone, but they shattered Scheffler specifically. He went 0-4, 0 wins in 4 sessions, 0. The first time a world #1 went winless in 4 sessions since 1967. That is not just bad. That is historic humiliation. Rose and Fleetwood are the elder statesmen of European golf. They know how to play team golf. They know how to use psychology. They rely on precision, fairways and greens, clinical play. That is how you beat Scheffler at Bethpage Black. You don't overpower the course like Scheffler tried to do. You outthink it, you control it. And that is exactly what Fleetwood did. He went 4-0, while Scheffler went 0-4. Fleetwood became the Scheffler stopper. He neutralized the American advantage before Scheffler could even get started. But the real humiliation came on the 15th green on Saturday afternoon. Justin Rose lined up a crucial putt, and something happened. Rose felt distracted. He felt like someone was in his line, or moving, or encroaching on his space. He stepped back, he said something, and then Ted Scott, Scheffler's caddy, the guy everyone knows is mild-mannered and quiet, started screaming at Rose, screaming loudly. Molinari from Europe jumped in. Chaos erupted. Tommy Fleetwood had to physically separate everyone and act as the peacemaker. The image was stunning. Ted Scott screaming at a major champion, Fleetwood calm and diplomatic separating the conflict, and Scheffler standing there helplessly. For a guy who prides himself on control and stoicism, this was devastating. His team fell apart emotionally. They lost their cool against two veterans who stayed perfect. That is the blueprint. Rose made the putts he needed to make. He closed out the match. He remained composed even though his opponent's team was screaming. That is humiliation for the world, number 1. Number 3 is Viktor Hovland's FedEx Cup Blitzkrieg in 2023. This was not even a close match. This was a complete demolition across 2 weeks. Hovland went from a playoff contender to a statistical monster. He left Scheffler bewildered, confused, unable to understand what he had just witnessed. At Olympia Fields for the BMW Championship, Scheffler held the lead going into Sunday. He played controlled golf, disciplined, smart. He shot a final round 66. That is a score that wins majors. Gore. That is a score that should dominate playoff events. Scheffler should have won, but Hovland did something historic. Hovland shot a course record 61. His back nine was absolutely incredible. 28 strokes for 9 holes, -7. He birdied 7 of his last 9 holes. He made 10 birdies in one day. He was in a flow state where he simply did not miss anything. Scheffler was not beating himself. Scheffler was not playing badly. Scheffler was being beaten by a phenomenon, by something beyond normal golf. To shoot 66 and lose by 2 strokes is a statistical anomaly. It does not make sense. Scheffler shook his head. He was helpless. The trophy had been snatched from his hands, and then it got worse. The next week at the Tour Championship, due to the staggered scoring format, Scheffler started at -10. He had a head start of 2 shots over Hovland at -8. It was Scheffler's tournament to lose, except Hovland did not just catch Scheffler. Hovland obliterated him. He won by 5 shots. Scheffler faded to a tied 6th finish. On Sunday, Hovland shot a 63. Scheffler shot a 70. That spread tells you everything. Hovland displayed closing instinct. He saved a critical pair on 14 with a 23-foot putt. Then he birdied 16, 17, and 18. Slam the door. Kill the tournament. Scheffler looked shaky. He faded when he needed to stay strong. Hovland beat Scheffler across 2 weeks by a combined margin that exposed a massive gulf in putting and closing ability. Hovland showed that when a putter gets hot, when a player enters that zone, all of Scheffler's mechanical perfection becomes irrelevant. The best ball striker in the world means nothing if you cannot make putts under pressure. Number 4 is Jon Rahm at the Masters and beyond. Rahm operates differently from other golfers. He does not ride waves of emotion like McIlroy. Rahm is fiery, intense. He physically wears down his opponents. He grinds them into dust. At the 2023 Masters, Rahm won by 4 strokes, finishing at -12. Scheffler finished tied for 10th at -4. 8 shots back. 8 shots. That is not a close loss. That is a dismantling. The humiliation was in how Rahm controlled conditions that baffled Scheffler. The course was wet, playing long and soft, conditions that should favor Scheffler's high ball flight. Instead, Scheffler could not adapt his putting to the slower greens. Rahm started the tournament with a double bogey on his first hole. Immediately down, immediately facing adversity, but he bounced back and dominated a leaderboard that included major players. Scheffler, meanwhile, never found a rhythm, never found consistency. Rahm proved he was the true alpha of the season. He stripped Scheffler of his green jacket. He stripped away the aura of invincibility. Then in 2025 at the PGA Championship, even though Scheffler eventually won by 5 strokes, the real story was different. Rahm applied suffocating pressure on the final round. Midway through Sunday, Rahm forced a duel that tested Scheffler to his absolute limit. Rahm was battling, making birdies, narrowing the gap, creating panic. The broadcast booth shifted from coronation talk to survival talk. Can he hold on? Will he collapse again? For a stretch on the back nine, Scheffler looked shaky. His lead looked tenuous. His composure was cracking. Rahm pushed the world number 1 to the breaking point. Scheffler ultimately responded with birdies on 10, 14, and 15 to secure the win. But the humiliation was in the panic. For 1 hour on Sunday, the world number 1 looked fragile. That is what Rahm does. He makes you doubt yourself. He makes you feel the weight of the moment. Even when Scheffler won, he had been exposed. He had been shown that he can be pushed to his limit by a player with Rahm's intensity and fire. Number 5 is Rory McIlroy, and this is the most expensive humiliation of them all. The 2022 Tour Championship was a historic collapse. Scheffler entered the final round with a commanding 6-shot lead. 6 shots. Historically, a lead that large at East Lake provides a win probability approaching 95%. The financial stakes were enormous. The difference between first and second was over $11 million. Scheffler began at 10, under par. That was his head start, thanks to being the number 1 seed. McIlroy came in at 4 under and immediately stumbled with a triple bogey on his opening hole. It seemed finished. McIlroy was out. Except McIlroy is not normal. McIlroy is the emotional heartbeat of the PGA Tour. He rides waves that other players cannot access. Scheffler tried to be conservative, defensive. He tried to protect his lead. Big mistake. On the front 9, Scheffler carded 3 bogeys. His short game, usually so reliable, completely abandoned him. McIlroy, meanwhile, made 4 birdies on the outward 9. The 6-shot lead evaporated rapidly. The coronation became a dogfight. Then came holes 15 and 16. These 2 holes changed everything. At the 15th, McIlroy faced a 32-foot birdie putt. He made it. The crowd roared. The noise was deafening. It shook Scheffler like nothing else could. At 16, Scheffler failed to make par from the greenside rough. Bogey. McIlroy took the lead for the first time all week. Scheffler stood helpless, bewildered, terrified. He had one more chance at 17 with a 12-foot birdie putt to force extra holes. He missed it badly. Game over. Scheffler shot a 73. McIlroy shot a 66. 7-shot swing. Scheffler made 1 birdie in 18 holes. 1. McIlroy made 6 birdies. The statistics were historic in their cruelty. Scheffler lost $12 million in 1 round, the most expensive golf of his life. But the deepest cut came from McIlroy's comments after. McIlroy held the FedEx Cup and said something devastating. He said Scottie deserves at least half of this. He said he felt bad that he pipped him to the post. To be pitied by your rival is a unique form of humiliation in professional sport. It meant Scheffler had not been beaten by superior golf. He had gifted the title through a disaster of a final round. Then came the 2025 Masters. If the Tour Championship was humiliation by collapse, this was humiliation by obsolescence. Scheffler was the defending champion. He had won in 2024. This was supposed to be his coronation, his chance at back-to-back wins. Instead, he became a footnote. He shot a final round 69 and finished 4th at 8 under. He never mounted the charge required of a defending champion. McIlroy, however, was electric. He battled back from a double bogey on 13. He forced a playoff with Justin Rose. In the sudden death playoff on the 18th hole, McIlroy birdied to win his 5th major championship and the career Grand Slam. The historic moment belonged entirely to McIlroy. The torch was symbolically passed. Scheffler placed the green jacket on McIlroy with his own hands. The world number 1 became irrelevant to history. So what is the blueprint? What did these 6 legends teach us? What is the secret to breaking Scottie Scheffler? Rory McIlroy proved that Scheffler can crumble under the pressure of a chase. When you push, when you refuse to quit, when you make the putts. Scheffler's perfect golf becomes just ordinary golf. Jon Rahm proved that Scheffler can be physically overpowered and outlasted in a marathon environment. Rahm's intensity wears opponents down. His fire strips away composure. Viktor Hovland proved that Scheffler can be rendered mathematically irrelevant by a hot putter. When someone gets in the zone and simply stops missing, the best ball striker means nothing. Rose and Fleetwood proved that Scheffler can be rattled emotionally and tactically in a team environment. Team golf is different. The pressure is different. And Brooks Koepka proved that Scheffler can be out-toughed in the major championship arena. Major championships require closing instinct and mental edge. These 6 legends have exposed the cracks in the armor of the Scheffler machine. They have shown that he is not invincible. He is not untouchable. He can absolutely be broken completely. His ball striking is still historical. His consistency is still remarkable. His statistics are still elite. But none of that means he will always win. The right legend on the right Sunday with the right pressure can dismantle him. Scheffler is still great. He will still win majors. He will still compete at the highest level. But the myth is gone. The idea that he is a robot who will never break has been shattered. These 6 have proved it beyond doubt. That changes everything about how we watch professional golf forward. Like this video if you think Scheffler can somehow reclaim the narrative. Subscribe for more. Comment which legend impressed you most. Thank you for watching.